an undeclared American surrender and shock in the Epstein alliance. The nightmare scenario for Trump is becoming a reality at this moment. Did America and Iran make the secret deal of the century to end this war? And what is the connection to the 10 leaked clauses that are turning the balance of the Middle East upside down, under Chinese and Pakistani auspices? What is the secret behind this upcoming agreement that will be announced in the next few hours? We have very important details today, but after this break, stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. Welcome to another edition today, God willing, in this episode of the Opinion series, which we always dedicate to following the latest developments and updates of this global conflict currently taking place in the Middle East between Iran and the Epstein alliance. Today, dear viewers, all eyes are on this conflict because it is clear that the issue is no longer limited to Iran and America, and a new mediator is now stepping in. But there is a strong country, an influential country on the global level that has now stepped in, trying to find a solution and a way out of this conflict. So we are talking exactly about China. The new thing today, dear viewers, is that Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif of Pakistan is visiting China on a 3-day trip, during which he will hold important talks with the Chinese leadership. Leaks indicate that Pakistan and China together will once again present a new initiative to end this American-Iranian war. In fact, this is not the first time that Pakistan has worked with China to find a solution to this conflict. That means there was also an initiative that brought the two together. That was last March, when they presented a proposal consisting of 5 points. And there were successes, in this context, honestly. But what's new today is that this Chinese-Pakistani move comes this time after important developments that took place throughout the past week. Especially these developments that happened after the meeting between Trump and the Chinese president, then after that between Putin and the Chinese president, and then the Chinese warning this week about the necessity to stop the war completely. So there are developments and there are indications that this new Pakistani-Chinese move might actually lead to the desired goal, which is stopping the war and reaching a final agreement. The spokesperson for the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that indeed this visit aims to find a way out of this conflict, and said that China supports the Pakistani efforts in this regard, and that there is indeed a new proposal coming at the same time, a proposal also consisting of 5 points, which means it is actually the same proposal as the previous one from last March. The new thing is that today it might be revived again, with China returning to support mediation efforts or to put pressure on Iran and so on. So it's clear, dear viewers, that the real party asking China to intervene now is the American side. In March, the intervention was also at the request of the United States, as America wanted a ceasefire as soon as possible. At that time, Trump tried to take advantage of the good relationship between its ally Pakistan and China. Today, the same thing is happening again. After President Trump failed to convince China to pressure Iran to accept American demands during his recent visit to China, today, Pakistan is also trying to do that at America's request as well. The duration of this visit, which lasts for 3 days, clearly shows the extent of this Pakistani attempt. It shows exactly how complicated the issue is and that it will require many hours to be resolved. That means convincing China to intervene, maybe to pressure Iran to accept this proposal and thus to reach an agreement. Are they also talking today about the same 5-point proposal that was discussed before? The discussion was about an immediate halt to escalation first, second, starting peace talks as soon as possible, third, protecting civilians and civilian infrastructure, and fourth, securing maritime passages, especially the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, then fifth, supporting a framework for peace under the UN Charter and international law. Will it be the same proposal or not? Of course not, it's different. This time there is a new proposal and there are points that were discussed, because the media today is talking about these 5 points, but there are other matters as well. So the Pakistani visit, as I said, will be only about this crisis, between Iran and the Epstein alliance today, before the start of this visit to China. The Pakistani Minister of Interior visited Iran and met with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and met with the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. And he discussed with them the latest proposals to bring the war to a complete end. Saudi media, which of course has close ties with the Pakistanis, confirmed that the agreement is imminent. They said that within the next few hours, the terms of an agreement likely to be signed by both Iran and America will be announced. And what's strange is that at the same time, there were leaks about this agreement, leaks revealing the terms of this agreement. These are the leaks that I will present to you, so pay close attention to every term I will talk about today. The leaks, the leaks. The agreement was defined in 10 main points. And when we look at these terms, we find that it is indeed possible that we will witness this agreement in the next few hours. Why do I say this? Because the agreement is simply a declaration to stop the war, a commitment not to attack Iran again, and then to negotiate the outstanding issues. So, we find that the most important of these terms is, first of all, there is a clause that talks about an immediate halt to the war on all land, sea, and air fronts, meaning lifting the naval blockade on Iran and dismantling this American military buildup in the region. And this is completely in line with what America had announced, during this week, when it said it was ready to lift sanctions on Iranian oil immediately. And we did an episode about this topic. What does the second clause talk about? It talks about ending the military operation and the media war, meaning stopping the media escalation that Iran is waging against America and against Trump, which actually means Iran has achieved this. This time it means a very great victory that was not expected. Today, everyone in the world believes the Iranian narrative and disbelieves the American narrative, which, as everyone knows, was mostly false, just empty statements and so on. We find that the third clause talks about a commitment to respecting sovereignty and non-interference in internal affairs. This clause fulfills the Iranian demands. Why? Because it will stop any incitement or any American plan to provoke and fuel protests inside Iran, just like it was before the start of this war, and therefore it means ending this plan that aimed to overthrow the Iranian regime. So pay close attention to this point, it's very important. As soon as America accepts this point, it means this is considered a declaration of surrender from America. We find that the third point talks about guarantees for the freedom of navigation in the Gulf region, in the Strait of Hormuz, and the Gulf of Oman. But the wording in this point is unclear, meaning it's not exactly specified how these guarantees will be provided. Is it just about opening the strait to ships after paying the fees? Or will Iran be required not to impose these fees on ships? Through the statements Iran made yesterday, today, and throughout the past week, it is still talking about a new system in the Strait of Hormuz. A new system it will impose in the Strait of Hormuz. This means that Iran will not give up on this condition at all. This concerns the Strait of Hormuz. This means that it will not give up on this condition at all. This means that the clause only requires opening the Strait of Hormuz, even if it is on Iran's terms, meaning under those same conditions, with paying the fees and all the related charges and so on. Then we find the fifth clause. What does it talk about? It talks about forming a joint mechanism to monitor the terms of this agreement. Good. The sixth clause talks about starting negotiations on the outstanding issues within 7 days, meaning after a week. 7 days after signing this agreement. At that time, negotiations will take place on the Iranian nuclear issue, the new system in the Strait of Hormuz, and so on. Then we find Article 7 talking about the gradual lifting of American sanctions on Iran. This article states that the more Iran abides by the terms of this agreement, the more sanctions will be lifted. These are articles that exactly meet the Iranian demands. That's what it means. It has repeatedly emphasized that it wants the war to stop first, and that this should be guaranteed by the United States to ensure that Iran is not attacked again. Only after that can negotiations begin. Without this, no negotiations are possible. So this really gives the impression that we might actually see this agreement within the next few hours. With this Pakistani mediation, with this Chinese support, this visit that just took place, along with the great optimism we're seeing today in the Saudi media, which is very close to Pakistan, it means someone who knows the ins and outs of what's happening today in this mediation, especially since Iran may have actually sent reassurances about this agreement, because today it announced that 35 ships, including oil tankers, container ships, and commercial vessels, passed through the Strait of Hormuz in the past 24 hours. And of course, that was after obtaining permission and coordinating with the Iranian forces. In other words, it's an Iranian message showing that Iran is actually responding positively to this new proposal and that it really is the one controlling the Strait of Hormuz. The ships pass with its permission. And this also started yesterday when Iran announced that 31 ships passed yesterday and today 35 ships in 24 hours. But as usual, after getting approval from Iran and after paying the required fees. And of course, this number remains very small compared to the normal traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, where between 140 and 150 ships used to pass every day. So Iran only sent messages, or we could say it responded, after signals confirmed that Trump agreed to this proposal and it will be officially announced in the coming hours. And even if an agreement is reached today, this global energy crisis that the world is going through will not end except after many long months. There is a statement from the CEO of ADNOC, the Emirati oil and energy company, who said that even if an agreement is reached today So the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz and the full return of oil flow will not happen until a month later, in March or June of next year, meaning in 2027. And this means that the longer this agreement is delayed, the longer it will take for normal activity to return to the Strait of Hormuz. So what's important and clear today is that America and Iran will agree to postpone negotiations about the Strait of Hormuz. This means that the upcoming agreement will only be to stop the war. Talking about reopening the Strait of Hormuz will be according to certain conditions. According to the new system announced by Iran, this means that negotiations about it will take place during the talks about the Iranian nuclear program, because America, through its statements, still insists that it completely rejects imposing fees on ships. But at the same time, we also find statements like those made by Foreign Minister Rubio. What did he say? He said that the important thing is only to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, only nuclear weapons. This may give indications that America will indeed sign this agreement now, and this will be exactly what happens next. Because talks on the Iranian nuclear program will definitely be included. This means it will be part of a very long process which may last for years, and throughout these years, Iran will of course benefit from this new situation in the region. Hormuz, and it takes profits and fees from the passage of ships and studies. I explained that this is exactly what Iran needs, because it needs about 4 or 5 years of revenues from the Hormuz region. So this agreement really brings the two sides closer together, bringing them both together so that the thorny issues, the files that are an obstacle for them, are left aside. A final agreement in exchange for stopping the war, for months, maybe, or even years for negotiations. Iran postpones its demand regarding war reparations and the release of frozen funds, while America also postpones its demand regarding the Iranian nuclear program. And the situation remains as it is today, with ongoing negotiations. The only thing that can be achieved now is stopping the war, meaning stopping the war itself, in a way that ensures Iran will not return to it, with guarantees that it will not go back to this war again. and not inflaming the internal situation and lifting the sanctions on it. And of course, this will give it a chance to recover and develop its economic and military capabilities again. So we can say that the agreement will just be a long-term truce, an indefinite truce, but it will never be a final agreement. And the war will definitely return, but maybe after a while. I mean, after the negotiations fail and after these negotiations run their course. So we will see how things develop, I mean in the next few hours, whether this agreement will actually happen or not. And of course, we will come back, God willing. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.